We are right in the heart of earnings season, and in today's video we're going to take a look at companies that are reporting on Tuesday. Before the bell, we've got Uber, Caterpillar, Marriott, Jetblue, and Ferrari. And after the bell, we're going to take a look in at ABNB, PayPal, Oxy Petroleum, Starbucks, and Airbnb. Let's jump right into it here first with Uber. Now, Uber's trading back down near its all-time lows. And we've got the 2020 coronavirus low here with that kind of washout underneath the 20. We'll look at that shelf support as 20. We've traded on there here over the last month or two, continue to make a series of lower highs. The key on this chart is going to be to get back up really over that swing high of around 26.5 from earlier in June and to hold above 20. Those would be the two levels to really pay attention to for Uber earnings. Now, next up, we got Caterpillar. Caterpillar, and we've talked so many times about these types of charts here over the last couple of weeks. We have major long-term levels. This is 2017, the beginning of 2018's high resistance zone in on Caterpillar. It takes a couple of years before we get to that 2020 breakout. We get that breakout, and where do we come and test here over the last month or so? That major breakout level in at 170, and you can see this is a swift, sharp move back up. So those long-term supports on a number of charts we've been looking at have been holding, but again, if we really think about what's going on here, we still have lower highs and lower lows here over the last year in on Caterpillar. We're trading kind of right back in the middle of this range, and move back up over 200 is going to be kind of put us back in the top portion of the range. But we really can't claim any victory from the bulls' perspective until we make a higher high. We got to go all the way back up to that 240 zone in on Caterpillar. Caterpillar is always important to pay attention to, because it is kind of a good indication on the health of the economy, so we're very interested to see what their forward guidance is. Next up, we got Marriott. Marriott's held that 130 zone. Right? We go back to 2020. All right, this we traded up into 130, fell back down. 2021, we broke above that zone, and we have held over that 130. It's a major price action area here over the last couple of years. And if we look at the chart right now, where are we trading? Again, this kind of looks like, we've got that box on top of box, and they're both about the same size. And right there in the middle is where we're at. We're right there at that 160 zone. 130's held. 160's acting as that resistance at the time being. You get back up above that, then you open the ability to run back up towards those highs. So key is going to be the 160 level in our earnings here for Marriott. Jetblue is all the way back down to its 2020 lows. Now, I'm going to pull up the airline ETF Jets here, and you can see it's still off of that bottom pretty substantially, right? 16, bottom all the way down there in an 11. So that's a pretty large percentage that it's still up off of the bottom. However, Jetblue is trading right back down essentially at those 2020 lows. So it's lagging the space, and so it's going to be interesting to see what it does here. But the key is look at this 8.5 level, right? We go all the way back to 2013. That's the breakout. 2014, that's the hold. 2020 we hold, and we're trading right there on it. A move underneath of that level would be very bad. And again, you can see we've put in those lower highs here for quite some time. Really needs to get back up over 9 and some change, and has to hold above 8 here. And those are going to be the levels that we're going to pay attention to in on JetBlue. Now, next up, we're going to take a look in at Ferrari. Right, I always like to take a look in at this, give you a good indication of what extremely wealthy people are doing, right? When we take a look in at Ferrari here, we're trading at that major level right there at 2020. There's the level right there at that 175 zone, held here over the last couple of weeks. We still have those lower highs that are put in place. Got to change that. Looking for that move over 230 to kind of open that back up to those highs. Got to hold over that 175 zone there. And again, another one of these where forward guidance is going to be really important. See where the orders are at and kind of what their take is on the top wealthy people in terms of the economy. Now, after the bell, we have some really important names. We've got AMD. And we posted this chart here a couple of weeks back saying this was the do or die spot. We were trading right there in at 70. Showed you the reason why. We had the 2021 level, the breakout at 2020. This is a major price action level they're in on AMD. And one of the things we've seen, some people started posting that chart of like this head and shoulders top, and we're calling for this major breakdown back down into here. Bottom line is that 70 zone is major support. We came right down to it, and we bounced off, and we made that sharp move higher. Now again, it's really nice that we're holding these major levels of support, but we have not changed the trajectory. We have not made a higher high here all year long. It's a series of lower highs and lower lows. It's a clean downtrend, right, where we have gone boop to boop, and we're basically right up into the top end of that channel. So where's the key? Keys make a higher high. Higher high happens over 110, right? Then we can start saying that the direction on this chart might have potentially changed. Support in at 70. That is a huge range, 70 to 110. This has been a very volatile area of the market, semiconductors particularly inside that tech space. This is a very followed name. It's going to be really important to see exactly what takes place here after the bell on Tuesday. Next up, we got PayPal. PayPal. We got to go all the way back here, guys, to 2017 to find this breakout zone at about $70 a share. It's right here. It's also all of 2018. It's a major level of support, right? It gets above that zone and it never falls back below there. 2020, right? You have a higher low that's put in there. Now we have given back all of those gains. We're trading back down towards those 2017 prices and at 70, but what did it do? It held that 70 zone, right? It held that major long-term area of support, right? We need to make that higher high again to kind of change the direction of this chart. We need to get it back up over the mid-95s, and then you've got a big level in at 120. The theme and what we've talked about here consistently in a lot of these names over the last couple of weeks is they have all come down to these major levels of support, but they haven't gotten that forward price appreciation where they're making those higher highs yet. We're in a position where we could start seeing that happen, but we've got to have some of these names actually continue that push that it's had over the last week or so and head higher. Now, speaking of stocks that have made a pretty good push and have continued to head higher here for quite some time, we're going to look at Oxy Petroleum. Warren Buffett has made a ton of purchases in here, okay? And so I wanted to show you guys this. Since the beginning of June, he has consistently made purchases all through June and July and large amounts of shares. A lot of these purchases were in the mid-50s, and he started buying in May even lower. That's actually right here what we saw on this big volume spike right here in news that Warren Buffett was buying a ton of shares. So that's the reason why a lot of people are paying attention to this, because he has put a ton of money into it. And we are now above that key like 50 to 60 level, and you can see the importance of that on this chart going back to 2016, right? We had the complete washout, and now Warren's liking it, and we're back up kind of over this zone. There is a lot of overhead resistance still on this chart. You have this shelf here that takes place around 70. We poked above it a little bit this year and then immediately fell back down. So that's going to be a big level to watch. And then above that 70 really needs to get up over that mid-80 zone. That's that long-term, decade-long resistance area that you got to pay attention to. So it's just very interesting with Warren making all of those purchases. So we certainly want to continue to see what they have to say on their earnings and see what the market's reaction there is. Next up, we got Starbucks. Now, there's a big level in on Starbucks. If you look at this, right here at around that 65 to about that 70 zone, right? This is this major long-term resistance area that we got going back to 2015, 16, 17, 18, right? We get that breakout in 2019, make that big push. It doesn't hold on that washout from 2020, but that's, it immediately gets right back up above that 70 zone when the market kind of stabilizes there, and we head back up. And here we are testing that major level once again, right? We're talking about, again, almost 10 years worth of extremely important price action level right there in at that 70 zone. It's come down, it's held, right? But we still have, again, a bunch of lower highs. Where's that next higher high? It's just a little bit over 90 right around here. That would be the first indication that you could say that potentially things have kind of turned around. Support, again, in on that 70, you lose 70, it completely changes the nature of this chart, and you can see really that next level of support underneath of that zone is way back down in the 50s, right? So really important level there. Last but not least, I want to take a look at Airbnb. Airbnb IPO'd right at here, All right, that's that IPO. So everybody from the IPO that bought and is just held is underwater. The low just after the IPO came right in around that 120. So IPO and it fell for a couple of days and then kind of found that support in there at 120. And you can see, again, it's a level of support. It's not a particular one number, but really that 120 to 130 zone. You can see the importance last year. You can see the importance again this year. You can see the breakdown underneath. Then it acts as resistance and it just continued to push down. Airbnb's chart, right underneath of that major level of support, had made a bunch of those lower lows over the last month or so. It started to take that turn back up, but again, it hasn't accomplished anything. It's nice that it made that bounce. It looks like it kind of put it a floor in at 90. 90 is going to be the level that you really need to watch. Close underneath the 90 kind of does open it up for more downside, but so it's nice that it's held this zone, but it hasn't accomplished anything until it gets back up over that 120 to 130 zone. If it gets back up over that 120 to 130 zone, it completely changes the way in which this chart looks. Then this can kind of be construed as a potential bottoming pattern if it gets back up over there, and that's what you can take a look for. But for right now, that's just that major overhead resistance. I've said it a bunch of times in this video. I'll say it again. The thing that's really, really important to pay attention to here, guys, we're seeing a lot of things hold those major levels of support, but they're not making those breaks back to the upside yet. The charts are still strong. They're heading up towards those levels, but we actually have to make those breaks, make those higher highs in order to really start saying that we've potentially could have put some sort of a bottom in play. We have a lot of additional names reporting this week, so a ton of stuff to cover in these videos. I hope you guys found this useful. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.